It's a good thing nobody in society complains about what celebrities look like now in 2026.
That's cinema, baby.
No, Mr. Wilson. I don't have to take that kind of talk from anyone.
That's right, you don't. How about going outside and trying to kick me around?
I'm not supposed to fight with the guests, Mr. Wilson.
I'm not a guest tonight, you yellow bastard. I happen to be an intruder.
Hello, and welcome to The Good, the Pod, and the Ugly, a film podcast where we pair movies to better understand the filmographies of notable directors and actors. I, friends, am your co-host, Ryan.
Not Margaret Thatcher. I am Ken.
Well, Thomas Edison.
Ken, do you know that your Margaret Thatcher is just Mrs. Doubtfire?
Shut up, Ryan. Don't crush my dreams. We've been recording less than a minute, and now I'm depressed.
Mrs. Doubtfire was doing Margaret Thatcher.
There you go.
Oh,
That's our guest this week, Andi. This is season 17. It's a 4x4. We are specifying directors who we consider hacks, but in a good way. This is the last Mick Jackson film, and it was chosen.
Mick Jackson.
I am for real.
And this is a Mick Jackson that was chosen by Thomas, his last film. Thomas, what is it?
It is The Bodyguard.
Woo!
Woo.
AKA, don't shit where you eat.
Yep. Alternate title.
I don't think that was on the poster
No, it wasn't.
or on the video box.
No.
All right.
At the last minute, they decided just to call it The Bodyguard.
Yeah.
I see.
Never.
I see.
Well, I mean, it does say it would have been a lot cleaner because it says, "Never let her out of your sight. Never let your guard down. Never fall in love." But yeah, if Andy was in that room, it would just say, "Never shit where you eat."
Yeah, it's the same stuff. But one. One rule replaces three. Come on.
Andy would add a y'all on the end of that, I think.
That's right. Don't
Yeah.
shit where you eat, y'all.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, bless your heart. So this film we've paired with last week's LA story. These things have a few things in common, including being shot by Andrew Dunn, who has been with them since Threads.
Good work.
Wow.
Both have pools.
Mm-hmm.
Both have limos.
Uh-huh.
Both have graveyards.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Both
Mm-hmm.
the character receives messages from unknown senders.
Mm.
In both, there's a security keypad and a guard dog.
Okay.
Remember that in the LA story?
Yeah.
There's the fake dog. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And both, someone plays an instrument.
That's
Mhm.
right.
And both characters go on dates. Both people have bad aims,
Mm-hmm.
knives and darts, right? Both the protagonist wears a tuxedo. Both the characters leave town for a getaway. Both see someone cleaning up after a party. And both the protagonist goes shopping for clothes, right? I mean, he's not
Mhm.
buying them for himself in the
Yeah, there's a dressing room scene in both movies.
Uh-huh. In both, the protagonist is in an adjacent room while their love interest is getting plowed. Both, there's a driver with a gun. And both, you see the protagonist in a second job that's not as exciting as their first job.
Mhm.
And in both, a lover leaves a plane and,
Wow.
and is interrupted by a song to have a non-final kiss.
You forgot that in each movie, the protagonist is betrayed by a longtime coworker or associate.
Oh.
The agent in LA Story and Weaselface in The Bodyguard.
Yeah.
Both are also set in Los Angeles.
Whoa!
What?
Oh.
What? A movie is set in Los Angeles?
God,
That is so rare.
It's rarer and rarer these days. 3 of Jackson's 4 movies are set in Los Angeles that we've watched, which
Oh my
is
God.
wild.
That's crazy.
You know the eventual remake's going to be shot in Atlanta anyway. I do think The Bodyguard should be like A Star is Born, and every generation should get their own contemporary version.
well,
I think that's a fine idea.
I meant to look this up, but was there an old movie that was like The Bodyguard? Or am I making that up?
There's probably like 40,000 old movies like The Bodyguard.
Well, I mean, that this one was like based on.
Well, Kasdan, when he originally wrote this, And for reasons that we can all speculate on, he didn't want to direct it. Originally was going to put Steve McQueen and Diana Ross in the role. And instead of being Reagan that was shot, it was JFK.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, this came out. It came out before In the Line of Fire, the Clint Eastwood movie, where he does play a guy who fucked up with JFK. So we'd eventually get that movie.
Oh, that's the one where Eastwood sits on the steps at the end and like makes a bet on which bird's going to fly away first.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bodyguard, 1992, Simpler Times. You could have also watched Rebels of the Neon God, maybe.
Yeah.
You could have definitely watched The Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah.
You could have watched Death Becomes Her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you could have watched the movie Sneakers.
Yeah.
Which I like a lot. And I don't know, did Clint Eastwood have a saying here? Oh, Unfo Riven? No, not Clint Eastwood had a film this year as well.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a thing killing a man.
Whoa, Clint Eastwood's here on the podcast? Holy shit.
Finally.
Mr. Eastwood, I have so many questions.
My first question is, do you know Margaret Thatcher?
Hello.
She's back, baby.
It's a hell of a thing killing a former prime minister.
Oh, shit. Is this the first time you've seen this film, Andrew?
No, I saw it. The last time I saw it was like the late 90s.
Ken?
No, I've seen this movie many times. I was working at the movie theater I worked at in Southern Oregon, and I saw it many times. And there were a couple scenes I went into and stood in the back every time because the audience would go nuts. You might be surprised or not surprised that it's why don't you go back over there and keep watching?
Yeah.
The audience every single time would just erupt in laughter. It's like the most popular scene in the entire movie outside of the song at the end.
Which about the time whenever he's watching his friend go off or former coworker go off with Whitney Houston, and someone comes up to him and a woman comes up to Kevin Costner and tries to seduce him.
She's like, I've been watching you for hours.
From across the
room for hours.
Yeah, why don't you go back over there and keep watching? Says a lot about Southern Oregon that they like a woman being assertive and then being knocked down a peg or two. That's where I'm from. Can't defend it.
So proud.
And Ryan?
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've seen this, but a lot. In the late 80s and early 90s, Whitney Houston was my favorite singer. I loved Kevin Costner. I think we got this movie on Laserdisc, maybe?
Whoa. Whoa, we had a Laserdisc player?
Yes, in the very late, in 89 or 90, my dad bought a Laserdisc player, and this was one of the, we had 5 or 6 before the DVDs came in. And this was one of the 5 or 6 we had. We also had Jurassic Park and The Crow.
Oh, yeah.
A couple others.
The Crow has an amazing soundtrack. Shut up.
Is the Laserdisc? It does. It has one of the best soundtracks ever. Does the Laserdisc, do you have to flip it over when you're watching it?
I can't remember if that was for all movies or just long movies. Okay. I know for long movies you had to flip it, but I can't remember if I think a 90-minute film would have all just been on one side.
And myself?
Thomas, have you seen this picture before?
I watched it before. So Threads and Bodyguard were my anchors for picking Mick Jackson, because I knew of the other 2 films, but these 2 were the ones that I was totally on board for. Not to get to reactions, but I had only first seen it maybe 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, my spouse Lee and I were doing a 1992 run. Actually, it wasn't even 5 years. It was probably in like 3 years, because 5 years ago, the podcast was, I guess 6 years ago, the podcast was getting going. But yeah, I was like, Unforgiven. And we started looking at some of these other movies that were there. That's when I watched Honeymoon in Vegas. I think we watched Last of the Mohicans.
Uh-huh.
I think it's the first time I saw Death Becomes Her.
Wow. Good year for movies.
Yeah, it was an amazing year. And I watched this going into it without any sneakers. I rewatched Sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went into this without any. I was reluctant to watch this film because I thought it was a romance.
Mm.
A little bit like having, and I think going into it with that idea of it being just a straight romantic comedy, or not comedy, but straight romantic drama, had the opposite effect of me going into my preconceptions of LA Story.
Yeah, I think if you went into this movie thinking it was a straight up romance, you'd be disappointed. If you went to this movie thinking it was a straight up thriller, you might be disappointed. But whether it all works or not, we'll wait for reactions. Kevin Costner, though, in this era, this is like the tail end of one of the great run of that late 80s and early 90s, pretty much from Untouchables through Perfect World, which came out the year after this. But he did like Dances with Wolves, Robin Hood, JFK, and then this movie like 3 years in a row, which is a pretty astonishing commercial and somewhat creative streak. It's hard, even if you're a big Yellowstone fan, it's hard to say how popular Kevin Costner was in 1992. King of Hollywood.
Yeah. And don't forget his amazing cameo in Madonna's Truth or Dare.
Yes.
Where
What did he do? I don't know what that. I know what that is. It's like is it a full length music video type documentary in black and white?
It's a concert. It's a tour documentary following Madonna on. I don't think it was her erotica tour. I think that came later. Anyways, it was a late 80s, early 90s Madonna tour, and it's very
a lot of celebrities.
Warren
it's Beatty's in it.
Yes, Warren Beatty was dating Madonna at this time because it was right after Dick Tracy.
Oh
yeah.
They would have met on
Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy.
on the casting couch.
And it's very sexually explicit. Like there's just a lot of frank sex talk. Madonna at this time was pushing boundaries in the sexuality of her performances. And she was, of course, like the coolest person in the world. And Kevin Costner comes backstage after one of her performances and says that he and his wife thought her show was neat. And then he leaves and she makes fun of him for like 5 minutes and it's all on camera. So
I would have too.
You forgot the part where she says, "Are you a DJ?" And he says, "No." And she says, "Well, you're dressed like a DJ." And goes like, "I'm not a DJ. I just found this uniform on a dead DJ and I put it on to stay warm."
Oh, are we going back to the Postman?
I'm going to go back to the Postman so many times this episode. I'm just going to warn you in advance.
Only thing I can
I'm already exhausted.
I think the only saving grace is that we haven't watched Waterworld on this podcast.
Oh my God.
So I guess we'll talk Postman over and over again.
That is the breaking point. Perfect World was the last one. Waterworld is the one that knocked him down so far. He never got back to where he was during that stretch.
Yeah, for sure.
But what a stretch of movies he had, though. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you pull out like Revenge and a couple other ones, and it's pretty unparalleled.
Revenge is good.
So I don't know how the timing on this works exactly, because LA Story, according to Jackson, he got a call the day after its premiere by Kostner asking him to direct The Bodyguard.
Yeah.
But they delayed shooting The Bodyguard for a year because Houston was on tour. So how does that match up? Because this came out the year after LA Story came out.
I would assume that a different director was attached when they were going to go shoot it earlier. And then once they decided to wait for Houston, they had to find somebody else. That's pure speculation, though.
That makes sense. And maybe Kasdan did want to direct it at first, but then decided not to.
I don't think Kasdan ever had any designs to direct, because this was written in the 70s before he even started directing.
Rejected 67 times and rewritten 12 times.
That's insane. What period in time would this have not have been a big hit? That's just crazy.
I think when we get to reactions, I might have a little bit to say about that.
All right.
So I think Kostner was working with Kasdan, early Kostner, and had read the script. And I was like, you got to make this. You got to put me in this.
Silverado, Big Chill.
I believe so. Yeah.
Kasdan did Grand Canyon right before this and Wyatt Earp right afterwards. And both of those were probably time consuming from
Wyatt Earp was the other one that and Waterworld combined.
Yeah. Kasdan's kind of on a losing streak here, except for writing The Bodyguard.
Yeah, but he wrote The Bodyguard like a decade and a half earlier, practically.
Right.
And it was Kostner who wanted Whitney Houston.
Because she was super hot.
Didn't even know if she could act at the time, right? Yeah. No one really did. And Mick Jackson said to her, like, hey, you don't try and act. Just be yourself. Your character is you. Yourself.
Well, I felt like, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is reactions, but that seems obvious in the way that her character is written or not written.
Yeah.
I think her character could have been written better, but anyway. So Whitney Houston was very, very popular at this time. And she also had personal experience real life experience that related to this movie. I did not know this until I looked it up, but
she has a sister?
She had a shitty call box.
She has a sister. Gate? No, so I looked up some information about Whitney, and FBI documents from 1988 to 1999 revealed that Houston was the target of both an alleged blackmail scheme and obsessive fan attention at the height of her career. So the blackmail was a lawyer from Chicago demanded up to $250,000 to keep certain details of her private life out of the press. And then they also found unsettling correspondence from devoted admirers whose letters and claims, including one who professed love in dozens of messages, they led to FBI inquiries, but they were later classified as non-threatening. But so she had some weirdos and people trying to...
Well, you say that, but that span of time also comes out after this movie, right? This movie might have inspired it.
It started in 88 when she started getting it. So she was already experiencing this. It just didn't come out till later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she was a big star. And so she was getting weird letters and stalkers at her concerts and stuff like that.
Do you think they just added that to the script later?
No. But I think, at least if they wanted her to play herself, then she did know what that was like to be stalked or, to not feel safe. But you're a public figure and you have to be in the public. You can't just, hide out.
Should we do a plot synopsis real quick?
Go for it.
Go for it, Ryan.
Whitney Houston plays Rachel Marin, a hugely successful singer and very famous actress, a double threat. She starts receiving death threats, alarming her staff, and it culminates in a bomb blowing up in her backstage room, her dressing room, when she's not in the room. And her staff tries to hide these threatening letters and the bomb from her, but they hire Kevin Costner, former Secret Service agent, to protect
Drives
her.
an El Camino.
Yes. He lives a very Spartan life and reluctantly agrees to protect her, and despite his best wishes, begins falling in love with her the closer that they get to one another. And she with him.
And then we have a two-pronged mystery. We see the guy who's sending the letters, but is something more going on? If you don't know who is behind it from the first 10 minutes, then you've never seen a movie before, but that's okay.
Right. Well, and what was wild to me on this rewatch, the first time in decades since I'd seen this, except for the Kevin Costner part, the plot is exactly the same as Perfect Blue, Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue.
Which came out after this?
Yeah, that's like
99,
90s.
right?
Oh, okay, so who's ripping off who now?
97?
It's hilarious that if he really was intentionally ripping this film off, that's just a hilarious source to pick for your bizarro, crazy, scary anime movie.
And it's even weirder than Aronofsky ripped it off.
Yeah. Yeah, at least Aronofsky also makes crazy, scary, weirdo movies.
But we're talking about Mick Jackson.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Mick Jackson.
So this film received 7 Golden Raspberry nominations.
Really?
It was surprising to me because I know, including Worst Picture, Worst Actor for Kostner, Worst Actress, and then Worst New Star he didn't win it, but was not nominated. Costner's hair. Which is
that was a big deal back then, wasn't it?
It was, because this must be right before Clooney has the Caesar cut or something, right? And it makes sense that he has short hair, like it's a bit of a military cut. But people, like his hair was boring. On the Blu-ray, on the Blu-ray, like he talks about it as well, that people just did not understand like why he cut his hair so short. They thought like he might have ruined the movie because of it.
But he was going for the Steve McQueen. That was the Steve McQueen cut, because that's who Kasdan originally wrote it for, and that's Steve McQueen's haircut.
Watching it, unlike Mark Wahlberg in The Yards, when I was like, "Can you guys pull off bangs?" I was like, "Oh, maybe I should cut my hair shorter. I still have have this thick head of hair before I go bald in old age. Maybe I should I should cut it like Kostner."
It's wild because the Razzies normally highlight, big failures. And this movie made $410 million at the box office, which means that by today's standards, that would be like
$1.5 billion.
Yeah, like all-time record-setting numbers.
And back to the hair, Harrison Ford a couple years earlier was in Presumed Innocent, and similarly had a weirdly short, even shorter than Costner's in this, and that was a big fucking deal. And people, I don't know, we had too much peace and prosperity in early 1990s. I don't know why people are bitching about haircuts of actors. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's a good thing nobody in society complains about what celebrities look like now in 2026.
Yeah, we've moved past that.
Whew, thank goodness. Thank you, Barack Obama. So one of the funny things about this movie is the opening and how Whitney Houston and her mansion with all her dancers, musicians, hangers-ons, it's such a straw man situation where it's like so ridiculously bad. It almost veers on like an airplane, like, the Zucker brothers. Yeah, because everything is just so terrible. It's like anybody could go in and go like, the speaker box to the gate is out, and the bit about the presidents is funny, but there's so many people. It's like if they had somebody with a rifle and whatnot as like a Zucker brothers thing.
Well, and I wrote down a note, like, why are they filming a music video at her house? Like, that's not something that people do typically. You would go somewhere and do it. So,
that was the rehearsal,
I guess. But still, you have a rehearsal space. Like, you don't bring a bunch of people up in your house. I mean, maybe that's just what she wanted to do.
You don't live large like Ryan and me having laser discs.
No, I know, you're right.
You would know you have a room just for the creeper to come masturbate into, and then you have the room that you sleep with, like, I don't know, stuffed animals.
The creeper to penetrate the house. And
oh my God. Yeah. He penetrated the house and then masturbated on the bed.
Yeah.
Some top tier dialogue there.
I think the bit with having the rehearsal at her house, I think there is a very poorly maintained storyline here where Whitney Houston wants to stay close to her kid, but then the kid is kind of neglected by Whitney Houston because she's obsessed with her job being a world famous celebrity. But they don't really explore that at all. Like,
no, there's a sequence in the Miami sequence where it almost feels like it's ADR, but it's not. Where the kid hasn't been in the movie for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just, I thought maybe it was Fletcher calling me. My son. She looks at the camera.
I have a son.
I have a son. Does everybody remember?
Yeah.
But he's not left, right? One of the surprising things is watching this, for the podcast, we're watching it. I forgot that they go to the log cabin wintry hideaway.
Yeah, the Waltons.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I thought you were going to say, Ken, when we were talking about the opening, I think I pretty much forgot it. I remember my impression. I remember some scenes, but a large portion of this movie I didn't remember shot for shot.
Yeah.
So some of watching it for the second time years later was a bit of a surprise. The opening,
Is great.
I remember the opening being that, Kostner fucks up and therefore he has become a bodyguard in the private world, or he's kind of a disgraced bodyguard. And the opening would suggest that. It's this amazing shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of somebody like washing the car. He shoots, it looks like an innocent person. And then it cuts to, and you have the crane that comes out over it, and it feels very, not just cinema, it's not just like large cinema, but also maybe, this is a point in his life that is momentous. This is either really traumatic or really important. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Tim getting out of, I call him Tim, getting out of prison at the end of Shawshank, and the camera comes up, right?
Spoilers.
Oh, for the police sirens in the background?
We better hurry up. They're on to you, Thomas.
But it's not. It's just that that's the end of his job, because the guy he's protecting says like, how'd you know? And so there's a bit of a fake out there. And then whenever you get introduced to Whitney, you have, unlike when you follow behind somebody and kind of that Marvel introduction to a superhero, or I think we get the same thing with like Meryl Streep in
Devil Wears Prada.
Well, you have that follow behind. In this, like, you hear Whitney before you ever see her. She's sitting down with her back to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get like, so you have this like build up, and you in the audience, you're like, I know Whitney Houston's in this film. Is this going to be Whitney? Is this Whitney? Is this Whitney? And it's like, yeah, it's her. Is it her? What's she going to look like? And then there's the reveal of her. Like, it's very much a movie star.
They're both great movie star and the opening is the names of the actors in the title, or not the title, and it's black, and then you hear the gunshot, and then it cuts to Kostner. It's a single shot with the camera just pulling back, telling the person he's protecting to stay down, and then the camera pulls back, and then you see the guy that had been washing the cars, etc. It is great. It is a great cinematic opening, and it has so much information that you don't really need exposition for in dialogue. Fantastic opening, very cinematic.
I thought it looked so obviously like a set, though.
Okay.
I mean, and I never noticed stuff like that, but it really, to me, I was like, wait, is he rehearsing? Is he in a movie? And this, like, it didn't look real at all.
So I do have a question about that, though, because when he's talking to the soap opera guy afterwards, he was like, how did you know, Kevin Costner, that he was a killer? And he said, well, soap opera guy, you don't wash cars on the parking level.
Yes.
And that's how he knew. But my question is, why don't you?
Well, they didn't care.
Who does it? You? The soap opera guy doesn't? People in general? But anyway.
Was Charles Keating? He was on another world.
I thought Andy's did you watch the movie FX with Ken during our Squib season? Is that what happened? No. You got ruined to all movies because you realized?
No, I don't like bloody stuff, so I didn't watch most of those Squib movies.
Yeah, she stayed away.
I don't know. I mean, that's why I don't normally pay attention to stuff like that. But for some reason, it jumped out at me. I was like, this looks really fake.
So Whitney Houston's current bodyguard, Tony, is played by Mike Starr, who is was Frankie in Miller's Crossing that we covered in our Squib season. He's fantastic. Every time he shows up in a movie, I love the guy.
He was also in Dumber and Dumber.
He's what?
He was also in Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, he's great.
He's really funny.
He's the guy that, we don't need this bodyguard. And then they have a little tussle, and by the end, they're best friends.
Yeah.
That tussle's amazing. So that tussle happens much later. Remember, he ditches him after the impromptu concert, right?
Yeah, the Sith Lord thing.
That's an amazing reveal where she goes from that robe.
Oh, it's the
What she's
robot
actually
costume from
wearing?
Metropolis. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, it's goose pimples on my arms every time I see it. It's amazing. But yeah, he's eating a peach, and then that whole fight scene
Mm-hmm.
where he has like the least amount of effort to be able to throw that guy around.
It reminded me of Robert De Niro
chair.
ambushing Sean Bean with a cup of coffee in Ronin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there's the bit which I found funny where they have this whole fight and it's silent, nobody's talking, and then when Kevin Costner emerges victorious, he tells Tony, "Let's never talk about this again."
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah,
I'm like,
the
you weren't
screenwriter doesn't want to
talking.
have to remember all the subplots that they're introducing, so we're just gonna forget this one exists. She is singing a song, and then I forget what scene this is. She's singing a song, and then it segues into somebody playing it on a piano, like in an after party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the best in the movie.
I think that was Run to You. I think it was that song.
Okay, Run to You. Yeah.
Yeah, she's doing an AIDS concert benefit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And that's also where somehow like the movie could turn sour, I think, for some audiences, but it doesn't. Like there's great tone management, but where Costner beats up the innocent person.
Yeah. So why did he do that?
that.
Andy and I couldn't figure out why he beat up poor Gomez, unless he just hates the Addams family.
Well, they beat up a lot of people, a lot of just randos who are standing around.
Yeah, but this is the guy taking
But
a
he
break,
like
smoking
goes
a
into
cigarette.
the kitchen and looks for somebody, and he thinks.
Well, he's walking the path is why he's going through the kitchen because that's their route. Right?
Yes,
it's their secure
But he
route.
asked for somebody by name.
Gomez.
Because there was stuff in the way. He's pissed off that there's like bread in the way or something.
Well, and it's he's actually frustrated with Whitney Houston's character, right? So he basically beats up that guy because he's in the way, but really he's mad about Whitney not listening to his instructions.
Mm.
Yeah.
This is just Andy. You may not be familiar with white male privilege, but us straight white guys.
Why don't you explain it to her?
Well, like
please
for example,
explain it to me.
when
I'm
you
just a dumb
upset
girl.
Ken walks out onto the street and just beats the living shit out of some other guy in Vancouver and then walks back in the house.
Well, that's why you do that all the time.
Yeah.
Thanks for...
It's your fault, Andy.
Yeah, you're blowing up a spot, dude. She didn't even know that.
I deserve it.
Now she has to carry that around.
As she should.
I'm fine. I'm good.
That would seem to be a moment where it seems fairly, I don't know, it's kind of realistic. Like he really is this laconic person who's shut off, right? Ever since his mom died, and he failed to protect the president because of it.
And he was at his mom's funeral, and he wasn't there to protect Reagan, and he feels bad about that. Dude,
I'm like, it's Reagan.
it's Reagan.
Who cares?
I feel like this is a change to the script. I feel like it would have made much more sense if he was working that day and failed to stop Reagan, and that's why he's so committed to his work now. But
I think there's probably too many people still alive that would have found issue with that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm guessing they wanted to make it as like anodyne as possible because that's not really the point of the story.
But it also shows like how serious he is about how he sees his duty.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That even though he had a very good explanation for why, he's still not really processing his mom's death, and he also failed to be there when he could have been a hero.
And the arrogance of that, which is kind of, it's
Mark Wahlberg 9/11 arrogance. Yeah. So are we at reactions? We're 35 minutes in. Can we react to this?
I don't know. Is the money good?
Yeah,
the money's good, right?
Yeah.
Is it at least $150,000 a year?
Yeah.
Because that was what was considered good money in 1992 for a bodyguard, for a celebrity bodyguard.
Yeah.
Well, and that's got to be now like $450,000 or more.
Sure, yeah.
So
at least
would have been a huge.
I guess so.
Well, we'll see.
As we found out,
and that's just him, right? That's his salary. It doesn't include all the cameras that he puts in,
No.
the new tires for the limo after he teaches the dude how to do a 180.
Yeah, that guy's a great character. He kind of fizzles out a
Yeah,
little
I know
bit.
they didn't use him enough. I don't think.
In the first act, he's so good.
Yeah.
The chauffeur character, and then they kind of just leave him behind, like a bunch of other characters in the movie.
I thought he
as
was
it
going
goes
to have
on.
a big moment.
Yeah.
At some point after all his training.
The dog in Ralph Waite's Great Northern Hotel Lodge has more of a third act scene than the chauffeur.
Oh, that's funny.
Reactions.
Yeah.
Ken, what'd you think?
I think the more I watch this, the first time I saw it, I thought that it's a pretty unremarkable script. It's pretty banal. I don't think it's really good, but the Mick Jackson's directing and the star power between Kostner and Whitney Houston is so big, and it's like a huge solar flare that it just makes this movie go down easy, even in the middle part where it's kind of boring. But by the end, and she's singing that fucking song, and then she runs off the airplane, it's like the best. Mm-hmm. It's so good, and it's how stars and a great hack director who is somebody who knows the job and knows how to deal with actors and producers, and probably a lot of big-headed acting and singing, because Kostner had his entourage and his Oscar for directing, and Houston with her people. So not an easy environment to direct in, but he knows the assignment, and he makes Kostner and Houston just light up the screen. It's great. Yeah, but the Kasdan script is the least part of it, and it's just a bare template to put all this star power, and it works because the songs are great, and we believe her as Whitney Houston playing Whitney Houston. Andi.
Yeah. Well, so I probably didn't like it as much as I did when I saw it back in the 90s, because I'm older and more mature now. But it's still pretty good. The music's great because it's actual Whitney Houston songs and her cover of a Dolly Pardon song. It's not like cheesy made up stuff for a movie. I like I said before, her character could have been written better, and I think if you made this movie today, I would hope that her character wouldn't be such a caricature, I think, of a celebrity, or I don't know. She just there wasn't enough substance there for me. But that's not surprising for something that was made in the early 90s, I guess.
Yeah.
But overall, it's pretty good. I mean, Kevin Costner never did anything for me, but I know he made a lot of ladies swoon. So, it's a good starring role.
And a few men.
Yeah, he's almost Rick Moranis level.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I don't know. And one thing I did not like about the ending, and I didn't remember either, so I don't know if there was a different version or if I just stopped watching. But I thought when I saw it back in the day, I thought it ended with that scene. She runs off the plane or whatever, and "I Will Always Love You" starts playing, and then they show her performing it in front of an audience. And I thought that was where it ended. I don't remember the stupid scene of him at the Rotary Club.
Oh,
okay, I was like, that's a dumb way to end it.
I think you are probably speaking with every single person who rewatches this movie when it gets to that part. I've seen this movie a lot, and every time that scene comes out, I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
It just was unnecessary.
Wow.
I don't.
Wait.
I think
you quick so I could react.
No, let's let Thomas react.
Why don't? Because I have something to say about this bit as well, Thomas. So why don't you go first?
Okay. Well, let me ask this, and this might be going back to last season's Two Lovers, which I think we all watched. Is this a happy ending? If you don't have Kostner at a shit job afterwards, then he's still with Whitney Houston, but he's not at the end of the movie.
Well, and
we don't know if he is or not.
No, he's not.
He's not.
That's why she's singing that song, and it is a little ambiguous, Andy. I agree, but I think between the song and the Rotary Club appearance, the idea is that they've gone back to their lives,
separate ways.
Yeah, well, every great movie love story has a sad ending. So,
but that's for me. There's no, unlike a lot of other romance movies, there's no reason why they shouldn't be together at the end of this movie. He could still be a bodyguard.
They're not.
He could still protect her.
Mhm.
Like there's no
Well, or he could take a different job and they could just be together.
Yeah, he's
Like-
there's no his commitment to bodyguarding is not seem more important than their love.
There's something
Mhm.
wrong with him that is broken. That's the only reason he is not hanging out with, not raising Fletcher as his stepson and, spending his days and nights with Whitney Houston. Her character.
I just didn't need to see him working at the Rotary Club. It was just boring. And then the end of it is like the priest is praying to God, but they're making it sound like they're kind of, and Kevin Costner's in the background, and it's almost like, oh, he's our protector. Like now he's God.
Oh.
Wait,
I don't know.
And
I
was
could see
the
that,
priest
but-
holding the little cross with the beeping thing on it?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm right here. Stop pressing it. Stop pressing the button, Father.
Tchaikovsky. I saw that as one of those nice visual effects, a little bit like Ken's favorite adaptation, Strangers on a Train, where there's the tennis scene and people's heads are going back and forth following the volleys, but one person's looking directly ahead, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody else puts their heads down, right, to pray, but that's not a luxury that Kostner can have because he's always working.
Because everybody's praying to Kostner.
Right. I am your God. I am your protector now.
Wow. What
Whoa,
a
Kevin
great
Costner's here? Whoa. Doing his Robin Hood Prince of Thieves accent? Holy cow.
Yeah, that award-winning accent. So Ryan, what did you think?
I mostly liked it. I thought, like Threads, it was 15 minutes too long. But otherwise, I thought it was good, even though, Andi, all the problems you're talking about with Whitney Houston's character are certainly there. And the racial dynamics just would not be the same way now. I don't think this movie is racist or anything. I don't think it's trying to be weird with the racial dynamics. I think this was pretty progressive in 91 or 92, particularly considering that a couple years later, Denzel Washington wasn't allowed to kiss Julia Roberts in the Pelican Brief. But yeah, there's just some weird racial stuff with him being the Shane-like cowboy who comes in and saves all these black people from themselves and then rides away into the sunset. But
Whoa.
other than that, I thought it was good. I thought the music was great. I had the soundtrack in my preteen years and loved it. And I was surprised that those jams still hit for me. Yeah, I thought it was overall a very good film. I wish that middle that Ken was talking about wasn't quite so slow. And then I think it'd be a great film.
And also, it's the I hate the process of elimination in these movie universes that are so small. There really isn't any red herrings for who it could be because there's not enough people around to be. It's like, obviously, the sister. As soon as Weaselface shows up in Miami, you know he's the guy that's going to be the assassin.
I did not.
End. It's still pretty cool at the end with the camera and the Oscars. It's a great set piece that Mick Jackson handles quite well.
Yeah,
it seemed very convincing, like a bad early 90s Oscar ceremony, and didn't look chintzy or small.
Yeah, I watched that. I watched the final showdown like 3 times because I thought it was so well done with the suspense, even though it's very obvious what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Oscars, Robert Wool is the host of those Oscars, and he makes some beyond terrible sexist jokes. And I was surprised that the movie wasn't seeming to say like, oh, this is a garbage person. It's just like, oh yeah, at the Oscars, we just say like, oh, it's wild that she went into sound because she looks so hot. Can't believe she's actually getting an award for not being hot.
No, she's like, he's a boom girl, more like the bada bing boom girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because like that was fine back then.
Yeah.
It seemed,
it wasn't, but
it
people
seemed
just,
very era
people
appropriate.
just accepted it, and now I'm not, because I think I said to Ken when that happened, I was like, oh, that wouldn't fly today.
Yeah.
We've got people like James Franco hosting the Oscars now. So,
well, yeah, we are only probably a decade on from Seth MacFarlane's "We Saw Your Boobs" musical number. So maybe Robert Wool would have filled in just fine.
Yeah. So, Thomas, you love this movie.
I love this movie. Yeah, this like Sneakers. is just a movie for me. It is. It hits. Like even like every time I watch it, it gets me. I think that it has enough change up in it that I'm always caught by surprise. Like, oh yeah, that's right. They go to a winter place and Fletcher can't swim and he's going to get in the boat. And for some reason, the assassin decides to blow up the boat.
Yeah. Hey, I know what I'll do in a 10-degree weather. I'm going to put a bomb in this boat for when they go out in the snow in the icy lake.
Exactly. And Kostner is going to use the force to shoot. Right? Like,
that was amazing.
And so then the sister dies, which is a resolution in some ways, but it's also like acknowledged. And they sing the song that she was singing just prior, right? Jesus Loves Me as part of that. And that becomes an emotional weight in the movie as well. It's not immediately forgotten, like in Volcano, for example, right? And so I feel like this is an adult movie with adult situations, a little bit like how I was commending LA Story for like how it handles sex and jealousy. Like, I think I thought that if you were going to have a hookup in your movie, it had to be towards the very end, unless you're going to get back together at the very end.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I like how well all that's treated. There's a bit of a red flag for me if you ever go over to somebody's house and they have a sword.
Bro, they are not that sharp.
Ronin type.
They haven't unpacked anything or hung pictures, but they have a sword on the wall.
They really should have gone all the way, and Kevin Costner should have come out in his bathing robe / kimono.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, had one of those samurai haircuts.
Yeah, that's he has the close cropped hair, and then there's a picture on the wall with him with the ponytail and the shaved sides and the full samurai hairdo. I mean,
the only two people I probably wouldn't run away from for that might be Kevin Costner and Peter Weller. Like if he comes out as a samurai get up.
Hey, I have a question about his character because Whitney Houston asked him what position he played in football. And he says end, which could be tight end, could be defensive end, could be a lot of things. But then when his dad, Mr. Walton, is talking, he says he played wide receiver. Why didn't Kevin Costner just say wide receiver when Whitney Houston was asking him?
Maybe his dad's a dummy and doesn't know the difference between tight end and wide receiver.
Or he played both.
That's a good point. But what if it was defensive end? There's a big difference there.
I had to take your word for all that, Ken.
I'm guessing he was a tight end.
Yeah.
A catching tight end.
Yeah.
He's too handsome to be on defense.
Well, he's not big.
Exactly.
He's not big enough to block
either.
as a tight end, though.
Well,
tight ends didn't catch back then; they were blockers.
Well, maybe I don't know.
So maybe his dad's low key putting him on blast and being like, "Yeah, he calls himself a tight end, but he's really a wide receiver."
There you go.
But also, that's during the bar scene, if I remember right, and then it seems like he is being very cagey, and he does that great moment where she's like, "She died, did she die while you were trying to protect her?"
Yeah.
And he pretends like he ropes her around for a little while, right? He's just like, "Oh yeah,
that was
no, I'm joking. We just broke up."
Kind of a dick.
Yeah,
very dick move. Huh? Why did she break up with you?
I see why he's single.
And then you say they should get together at the end. No.
I think they should get together. I thought they did briefly, and then they were like, no.
Oh, so remember Two Lovers? Because we were all in that Two Lovers episode where it was like, it's good for Joaquin's character to get together with Vanessa Shaw, but not good for her. So if they did get together in The Bodyguard, who would it be good for and who would it be bad for?
It would be bad for him, I think, ultimately.
Because he's a loner?
Yeah, and she's a celebrity, and more than likely it's not going to work out. Because,
if he gets up traveling around, I think it'd be good for Franklin. Fletcher. That's his son.
Yeah, I think you're right about what it's supposed to be, Andi, but to what I was saying earlier, I don't think they do anything to suggest that this would be bad for him. Fletcher gets a stepdad. Whitney Houston gets protection and the love of a good man. Like, what's the problem here? He ends up being rich.
I don't. I don't know.
I just think,
he seems pretty emotionally distant.
yeah,
Unavailable.
But
He understands why people have emotions, but he doesn't necessarily need them.
They're only available to each other. That's what makes their relationship so touching.
that's very sweet. But in reality, she was going to end up meeting someone like Bobby Brown and leaving Kevin Costner for Bobby Brown and ruining her life. So.
Yeah, that is really, this is like right before that happened. And that was, in hindsight, it's kind of very sad to watch because she is, she's at the height of her power. She does turn out to be a pretty good actress. She could have gone on to have a career like the woman she's playing, who's like, doesn't really exist, right? There's not an award-winning singer who is also such a talented and awarded actress.
Cher won an Oscar.
Well, I guess Cher at this time, yeah, that's a good point. I stand corrected. She reigned throughout the 80s, so my bad.
Yeah, but this was the same year that this was the same year that she and Bobby Brown got married. Also,
oh really?
Yeah. And their daughter was born the following year.
Oh, speaking of the Postman, Tom Petty.
Oh, actor, a double threat,
award-winning actor.
We're talking actresses.
Oh, speaking of actors, wait, Dolly Parton. So Dolly Parton, Andi and I watched The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas like a week before watching this movie. And I had no idea that I Will Always Love You is in that song, in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Is it a musical?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, it's a musical, and they take songs from the original Broadway play, and then Dolly Parton added a couple of her classics, the Cold Candy, or
Hard Candy Christmas.
Hard Candy, not Cold Candy Christmas. And then at the end, she sings it to Burt Reynolds because they can't be together. And it is great. The difference between their vocal stylings is fascinating. I think Dolly Parton's also really affecting, probably the most affecting in a really silly movie, because she has that kind of, I don't know, creakiness to her voice, the crackliness to her voice, that when she gets emotional, it's real emotional.
Yeah.
But they end up getting back together in that movie.
It was only a couple years ago that I came to see the merits of Dolly Parton's version. Because Whitney Houston's is so,
it's just a great it's such a great fucking song, though.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, we talked about this already during Hedwig the Angry Inch, right? Like how awesome the song is.
Mm-hmm.
Because the neighbor's practicing it.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And originally there was going to be two versions: one that's in the movie, and then one that's released for rotation, for radio rotation, because the producers originally didn't think Kostner loved the non-accompaniment to start the song, but they didn't think that would play on radio. People would be bored by just hearing a voice.
Yeah, but I mean, nobody could have known how huge this song would be. If it's just irrefutable. I wonder if the Dolly version is not in the movie because they were worried about that comparison point. So they have lame-o guys singing it.
You had an anecdote about Dolly Parton.
I have two things to say. One, or three things. It is a great song.
Say them all.
But for some reason, the version when they're dancing in that club and it's sung by a man is awful. I don't know who that is, but I was like, wow, it is possible to ruin this song.
Yeah.
So that wasn't good.
Well, and she makes fun of it. She's like, oh,
yeah,
terrible, sad-ass white people music.
Right. Exactly. But yes, and so I have a funny story that I saw it. I actually had just happened to see this video like 2 days ago, right before we watched this movie.
Wow.
It was Jackée Harry, who is my queen. I love her. She's so funny. And she was being interviewed. I didn't recognize the interviewer, but they were talking about Dolly Parton, and she was working with Dolly on some show around the same time that The Bodyguard had come out and Whitney's version was so popular. And she said a lot of the people on set were like, I wonder if she's mad or jealous about that or whatever. And Jackée mentioned that to her, Jackée. And Dolly was like, come here, come to my dressing room. And so she took her to her dressing room and she opened a drawer and pulled out a copy of a royalty check And she said this was her first royalty check from Whitney's version. It was for $1 million.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Do you think I'm mad? I'm not mad."
Did he cash it? That's also a baller move.
No, it was a copy of it, but
okay.
But yeah, and then I saw a clip of Dolly awarding Whitney the award. She won the Grammy for it, I think. And it was very nice. And Whitney, was very gracious to Dolly, and vice versa. And it was, it was cool. And yeah, I think Dolly has been quoted later as saying that she really loves Whitney's version. So there was no hate there.
That's good.
Women supporting women. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. It is interesting to see their career arcs, though. I mean, we talked about the tragedy of Whitney Houston. Dolly's like still, other than her collaboration with Kid Rock a few years ago. Come on, Dolly. But other than that, Dolly Parton is like an American classic.
Did she work out with him at the they
did a collaboration on an album.
Lifts weights and goes in the sauna.
No, she would never. Dolly would never do that.
No.
Okay.
I think Dolly has kind of taken place of Elvis in as far as how she is thought of. Not that she's more famous than Elvis or anything, but her reputation, Dollywood, like she's just very much a huge pop culture figure now, way beyond even the reaches of her music.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. I even dressed up like her and marched in a Mardi Gras parade with 200 other Dollys.
Sounds wonderful.
Mm-hmm. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Mick Jackson, do we have any through lines? I think I said last week that I think he's really adept at managing a lot of disparate tones.
Mm-hmm.
I think Threads and LA Story probably being the two most prominent ones, but also like The Bodyguard, because The Bodyguard is like it comes off as kind of its own thing, even though it has thriller elements and action elements and romance and musical elements.
Yeah.
It could, like the opening where everything's so ridiculous in her mansion, it could go off track really easily. And I think he holds it all together admirably.
Yeah. The focus on process and, that's very present in Threads. I thought it was present a little in LA Story. And then when Kevin Costner, takes the job and he just starts going through her current protection scheme, pointing out all the holes and then explaining what he does and where everyone needs to be on her performance nights and stuff like this. And then to your point about the tones, Ken, I mean, one of the reasons why Threads is so effective is because you really buy into that romance between the two kids at the beginning. And that those interpersonal dynamics, that was my favorite part of LA Story. And then that's what makes this movie, I think, really pop, is that you really believe that these two characters could be in love, and complications and the family dynamics and stuff is just all very earnest and genuine.
Well said.
Yeah, there's not a love story in Volcano. Oh, I guess there is. Like, I forgot about Hesh and Jones.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Which it's on the back burner, right? It's like a simmering thing versus up front. Because that was definitely my least favorite of these three films. But I think that Ken really hit the nail on the head there with saying that he's able to like bring disparate elements together and maintain a tone. I think he does that better with Volcano than he does with LA Story. I think Volcano is like consistent, which is why it could be such trash and still be enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that he makes films at an adult level. I watched Dante's Peak after we recorded the Volcano episode.
Roger Donaldson, another hack.
Yeah, but it's a scarier, more realistic film. But the film is also for, I don't know, people who are distracted from the screen, or like it might be like that Netflix thing that people
second
harp
screen
on. Yeah, where in the film Dante's Peak, somebody will say something, like you'll see an image of dead squirrels, and then somebody says, "Oh, hey, there's something dead here. And then they'll cut back to the squirrels and they'll say, it's dead squirrels. Almost like if you have vision impaired, if you have like vision impairments, you can like turn on a setting on some media where it like tells you what you're seeing. And that's how that film progresses multiple times. And you don't get that with a Mick Jackson film. Like I think he respects his audience's intelligence.
Yeah. I think that's very well said, Thomas.
Even though Volcano is dumb as fuck, like he still doesn't try to make visually. I think he's a very visual storyteller and is able to have that so that the dialogue doesn't matter as much. But when somebody needs to give a line, he knows exactly where to put the camera.
Yeah. And if you could pull something off where it's like, hey, there's lava running through LA, why don't we destroy a building to redirect it? And for all that to be of a piece is an unusual skill, but very much on display.
As a side, I did have the realization during LA Story, as far as why there were so many May-December romances in movies in the 80s and 90s and aughts. And I think it's because if you are a rich and famo guy in Los Angeles, then a bunch of 20-somethings might throw themselves at you. But I think for older men anywhere else in the universe, that's not really something that happens.
It happens to me all the time, man.
What?
Like, hey, man, check the ring. I'm married.
That's right. Cut a bitch.
I know I'm old, and that makes me super attractive.
And rich.
And rich.
Like a decade later, Steve Martin made Shop Girl, where he's a decade older, and Claire Danes is even younger than Sarah Jessica Parker. And that was like a movie that was taken seriously.
Yeah.
Not cool, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have some homework. I need to go watch, I guess, American Beauty.
If you truly haven't seen American Beauty, Thomas, then I feel like that's a great one-off for the pot, because that movie is so insane.
Nope.
And I would be perversely fascinated to watch it again.
Well, talk about perverse fascinations and your choice of movies. You're up for the next 4.
Woo.
Well, of which I will definitely forget to watch one of them.
Rude but deserved. Can I recommend which one you shouldn't watch? Or
no, I just want to. No, that sounds like it's gonna be a reaction.
Who is your director, Ryan?
Edward Dmytryk was a editor in the 1930s and ascended to become a director, and was quite productive from the 40s through the 60s. So we will be looking at 4 of his pictures.
What's the first pairing that we have?
We're going to do a couple of noirs, one from the beginning of his career and one from the end. So the first one will be Murder, My Sweet, which is a Chandler adaptation, I believe.
Yeah, Farewell, My Lovely. It's second Marlowe novel.
Yeah. So that was one of the earliest Chandler adaptations, and it was a big hit when it was released in the early 40s. And the second one is Mirage, which is from the late 60s and features Gregory Peck. And was not successful, but it was something that has had a lot of influence over things since, including Mad Men. It seems like a very cornerstone text for the development of Mad Men. So definitely worth watching if you're into the 60s or into Mad Men.
Excellent. Look forward to that. Thomas, thank you for Mick Jackson. Thank you for these 4 films. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And Threads, which is a masterpiece and the best of these 4 movies, but it's also a movie I'll never watch again.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yep.
It saved us all from nuclear Armageddon, so that's what
it did.
More do you need?
And thank God for that.
Yeah, let's maybe by the time this shows, we'll have to have a note in the show notes.
Actually, the Earth was destroyed.
Yeah. Well, I think Andi and I are supposed to go off to the Rotary Club.
Yep. We're late. We're running late.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't want to talk about this again.
No. Why don't you go back over there and keep watching? I'm not a hero. I just found this dead bodyguard and I put on his suit to stay warm.
No fucking freak is gonna run me off stage.
I don't want to hear about you.
Do you have a communication problem here?
10-4, buddies. Destroy. Kill all hippies.
I don't hate it. I just don't know why you strayed from the formula.
You bastards. In case you don't know it, Bob, I'm an artist. And I must reflect that in my rhyme.
Revenge is good.
AKA, don't shit where you eat.
Some top tier dialogue there. Yeah, so why did he do that?
understand that.
Andy and I couldn't figure out why he beat up poor Gomez, unless he just hates the Addams family.
That's right. Okay, bitch.